the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show. The best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. Ooh, voice cracked on the here we go. That's what
we have one job.
Excuse me. There we go. Here we go. It's the best soccer show, blowing out the mic.
You're like US Soccer. It takes 2 times to get it right.
Jason Davis and Jared Dubois. Him from California, me in vivo desde Puerto Rico. I'm still here. There's hints the mic, hints trying to figure out the technique, hints the voice, I guess. I'm a little lightly roasted. Can you see?
You're looking very what is it, Al Michaels? With that headset.
Your friend over here does not have a lot of the melanin, as they call it. So I was out at the water park with the kid today, doing the little slides, and had a great time. But I am lightly roasted. Hopefully that means that we can bring some extra energy.
Did your kid get the Puerto Rican side in terms of skin tone? Did you get the wife's ability?
He did not.
He
is blanquito, but he doesn't. I don't know. We'll see how the tanning happens. He's not spending a lot of time. You got to protect your kids from the sun, right? You got to protect your kids from the sun. You can't have them out there roasting. Sun.
You should have seen the tan line on my kid's body when he started summer. Like he'd been doing like spring select, so he's playing soccer tournaments every weekend, soccer practice, and always shirt on, like they don't do the thing we did when we were kids, where it's like shirts and skins. Like that always helped even out, because you're playing outside without a shirt on. When he started the summer, oh my God, it was like he was wearing a white undershirt.
Oh, well,
my man's even did that now though.
Better, but still better to be cancer free than to be out there rocking an even tan, at least a natural tan, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, from Connor in the chat, he wants to know, why don't you pack your mic when you go?
Why don't I pack my mic? This is what I pack, because this is what I use with the radio, which I'm not doing right now.
So even when you're at your home studio, i.e. basement, you're using that, not the
WNBC.
No.
WNBC.
No, what happened is they send me the box. Are we really doing this behind the scenes?
It's a question, man.
They send me a box that connects me directly to the studio through the internet. And then they also send you a headset. And most of the people who do radio on my channel, and I'm guessing a lot of channels do it from home, use a headset. I'm one of the few people that has my own microphone, and I prefer my mic, which it's just too much to pack. That's the answer, Connor. Okay. It's just too much to pack. But I'm here, and we're live, and we're talking about coaches for the U.S. men's national team.
Like Howard Cosell over there.
Among other particular, I used to have a pretty decent Howard Cosell. It's not
Howard
Cosell. I'm Howard Cosell, and we're live from. We're talking coaches for the U.S. men's national team. I know that was all of last week's show, but it's still the topic, Jared.
And somehow there's new names.
There are new names. How is that possible?
I think obviously some people are becoming available as they're being released from other duties. Copa America and Euros have finished.
On that. Timing is interesting. Okay, so the way I set this show up is that we are going to call real, actual, possible hiring for the U.S. men's national team or bullshit. And I think we should talk about first is Dougie Mack's report, setting some context, some stage work here, right? Because last week, we went through some names that had kind of been linked, but nothing was really firm.
And also things that we just wanted to see sometimes,
I guess. I got a couple of pieces. If I was doing if I'm doing a presentation, or if this was a legal case, I have exhibits. So we need to kind of work through the exhibits before we can get to the actual names. Jared, have you seen this? I'm going to play a video for you. Have you seen this video? Tell me what you think of this.
Thanks, Steve. So a follow-up to that. Is your intention to be LAFC's coach through the end of the season? That's where your head's at?
I am LAFC's head coach right now, and that is my job, what I do every single day, and tomorrow morning training is at 11:15, an hour later, and I will be there for that.
That's the press conference version of when the cop says, "Have you anything to drink tonight, sir?"
What is that? He doesn't even pretend to answer the question. I
may have had a drink with dinner 4 hours ago, but I'm good.
I mean that is the most evasive ass thing I've seen from
that is a lack of media savvy that is not going to serve you well if you want a World Cup position.
But everybody is reading this, and I'm going to get some more evidence, some more exhibits here in a minute that maybe will change our thoughts here about Dolo. But that everybody read that as, oh, he's gone. He's going to be the head coach of the U.S. men's national team.
Listen, I mean, there was a more political answer he could have given, like I'm committed to this team for as long as I have this job, and that's all I'm thinking about right now. He could have given that answer. The fact he gave more than that and it was so awkward, and like, how were you not prepared for that question? Or is that the prepared answer?
That's a good question.
Like, who on the media side of LAFC did not have him prepared for that question?
That's also a good question. So in my video that I dropped on our YouTube channel, by the way, if you're not subscribed, go do that. Please go subscribe right now. You're watching on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. The video I just put out, sort of trying to catch up on some of this. I pondered. Now look, there's been some debate back and forth whether Dolo actually wants the job, right? And I still believe that if Steve Cherundolo had his choice, that he would be a coach in a top division team in Germany before he is head coach of the U.S. men's national team.
I think that's the way he always thought his career would go. I think that's when he pictured in his mind the natural evolution of where he's going to go as a coach. But then he probably didn't think Greg Berhalter would be out of the job before the World Cup. I mean, he obviously is doing quite well with LAFC. And those two stars happen to cross at this juncture. So I think there's part of it's like, if he says no now, does he get another chance ever? And that has to be going through his head, because is this job ever going to be offered to him again?
I mean, but come on. No.
Let's say he goes to Hanover. Let's say he goes to Hanover in a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Where's
Mayor of Hanover?
What Hanover? What division is Hanover in right now?
I don't know.
That's his club.
That's his club. Yeah,
that's his club right now.
The mayor of Hanover, he is.
They're in the second Bundesliga,
which I think is a decent jump, right, for him to start his European career.
If he thinks he can take him back up, then yeah. And again, that's mayor of Hanover and all that stuff. I guess that would be the job. So that was my thought. I don't know. I'm not saying I know that Dolo was dodging this question because it was more about possibly leaving for Germany than leaving for the U.S. men's national team. But I think it's worth considering that Dolo didn't want to be caught in a lie on either front, whether it's the national team or a job in Germany. So what he said was, I'm the coach of LAFC right now.
The reason why I say that, does this job come back around again, is it goes back to what I was talking about a little bit last week, where it's like, remember Jason Kreis? Greg Vanny 4 years ago, you would have been talking about potentially taking this job when he's killing it with Toronto. There's guys that get hot in MLS and are doing well, and they get this cycle where it's like, maybe this guy could be the guy. And I just think Cherundolo's in that cycle right now. He could be the guy, but he needs to do another 4 to 6 years of managing this a team with successfully.
Right.
Well, then I think he gets to wear that crown a little bit.
Are you chalking up that response to Steve Cherundolo is just kind of an awkward guy when faced with a question like that, or he's dodging? Go ahead.
I think Steve Cherundolo is a very honest man that cares about the U.S. national team. Okay. He cares about. I think he's cut from a different cloth than, like, say, I don't know. There's some guys out there who really like the media and they play the games in the media. I think Cherundolo is a real salt of the earth dude that honestly wants to answer that question because it was asked of him.
You know who likes to play the media game? I'm gonna play you another clip. You ready?
We'll play the United States and Kansas City in the fall. Which sideline will you be on?
Come on, man. I'm not leaving this job. I have no interest in the U.S. job. And to be fair, unless there's a big shift in the organization, I don't think that I'll ever have interest in that job in the future. So I'm really happy here. I couldn't be happier, actually, in terms of what it's like to work with the leaders in this organization and what it's like to work with this team.
Well, I mean, I do not expect him to be there anytime soon. That's for sure.
No. I played that.
But Jesse Marsch is more the guy you want at a press conference at a national team level than Steve Cherundolo.
Yes. I don't know how much of a consideration that needs to be. I don't know. I mean, we've had sort of the charming guy in front of the microphone before, I mean, Jurgen was that guy. Bob Willie wasn't, although he had that sort of Jersey tough guy attitude that kind of carried him. Bruce, no nonsense.
Yeah, but we live in a meme culture now, though. Like, it's different now. Like, it's a lot of people would never even see the things that are said in press conferences. It's a lot more in your face and available to you than it once was when you were reading box scores in a newspaper, and there might be one quote.
No. So you're saying we do need a media savvy head coach?
I think so. I mean, look at the way that this team is under attack online. For God's sakes,
under attack. Yeah, okay,
for sure, right? Like,
there's
people out there that have a mouthpiece in this marketplace who their entire identity is anti-US legacy, like things that have been done before. They want all the change, but that's what I'd be very interested to see what some of those accounts are going to be like when they get a bit of that change and it doesn't pan out. There's people who just their whole identity is, well, I'm anti this,
but I hope it doesn't get to that. Like, let me make sure it's clear from my perspective. It's just me, right? Like, for all this stuff that is kind of like overly aggressively mean and negative, which I'm just not a fan of. All the people who throw mud at journalists who are doing the best they can, and in most cases doing a damn good job. I mean, stop this bullshit with like everybody's a shill. Stop it. It's not true. Okay. It's not. This is how it works. You have to get along with people on some level to cover things.
We're on the payroll, but I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah. I'm clocking my big
ass. This one from Maddie Showtime.
That check doubled after Uncle Arthur threw some cash at US Soccer. So that's good. That's
Maddie Showtime says in the chat, at least Dolo has successfully leaves a coach. A lot of fans want a coach that's just got fired, but it's okay because they're not American.
Okay.
So before we transition away from Cherundolo, let's answer your question though.
Okay.
Cherundolo, is that real or bullshit?
That's real in terms of he's a candidate.
That's real. He's a candidate as well. And it's probably the most pragmatic candidate. You can get him for less money than Greg Berhalter was. You're still paying Berhalter contract.
I hate to say it about a U.S. soccer legend, but he's a safety school. Okay, yeah, he's your fault. Sure. If you're aiming at Harvard and Yale and Princeton and whatever, and then let me just throw in. Man, I was going to pick a school.
Cal State Northridge.
Somebody. Who? Cal State Northridge. Is that the safety school out where you are? Okay.
Yeah, or Cal State Long Beach.
I'll throw in let's say Virginia Tech, I guess, in my part of the world. But there's
by the way, Sean Franklin. Shout out Sean Franklin's Cal State Northridge.
No, is he okay?
I believe
so. Sean Franklin. People are not going to remember Sean Franklin. That's memory hole.
That's a good yeoman. Right.
Yeah. That's like a good average to slightly above average MLS player and a career. Sean Franklin.
So I would say it's a real candidate there. It's just not really fancy.
No, it's not. It's not. It is, but he is real. He is not bullshit. Now, the next context here. By the way, we're not throwing Jesse Marsch into this conversation. He's clearly out, and he was out when I did the update interview. And a bunch of Canadians. Shout out to the angry Canadians in our comments on YouTube who are like, "Why do you Americans keep bringing up Jesse Marsch as a candidate? He's not leaving. He's committed to Canada."
Because they don't understand what it's like to be American. It never leaves its blood.
No, I mean, obviously, I threw him in there because of what he said in that clip, right? And because he clearly does have an axe to grind with U.S. Soccer. And even if he didn't, he signed up for Canada. Like, I think he's committed to Canada through the World Cup. And he has a potential to do a lot for his career if he can actually do something at the World Cup with Canada. And maybe that would be true with the United States men's national team as well. But obviously, that relationship is not great. That's not great. So Jesse Marsch is not in our real or bullshit discussion. Let's move on, though, because I think every other candidate we're talking about here is not American, is foreign, is European, I think. Oh, well, no, there was one South American in the mix. So I got to get to this. Okay. So before I get to that, this is the report from Doug McIntyre at Fox Sports about the hunt. And this came out today. Sources: next U.S. men's national team coach unlikely to be American candidate. Now, if you read this, it's basically saying Matt Crocker, who is a Welshman who worked for England and an English football club before he arrived in America to run the U.S. Soccer Federation soccer side, he is targeting a European or a foreign name, not a European name, a foreign name. He's and per Doug, it's kind of he's targeting a big name or somebody who's recognizable. I mean, we're not talking about, as much as I want to, as long as you want to celebrate sort of second division coaches who might be on the up. That's not who Matt Crocker is going to go hire, right? He's going to or going to try to hire. And I think it's important to mention that there's a chance that Matt Crocker swings and misses on all of those quote unquote foreign candidates.
He did once.
Apparently, right? Well, that was the big swing. That was like the moonshot that didn't work.
No, I mean, like with his first coaching search, he was talking to foreigners as well as Americans, and chose the American that was already there. Felt like the lazy choice. So it is a bit odd to see that he's potentially caught fire with this need to have a foreigner coach, or he's come into U.S. soccer, and now that he's spent some time inside the federation, he's like, holy crap, this might be a bit of a dumpster fire, and I need something from the outside here.
Yeah,
because some of these people may be too close to this.
That might be true. That might be an assessment. I think it's very possible he just decided, hey, we need an outsider's perspective.
Didn't he?
We need an outsider's perspective, kind of regardless of what's going on with the federation. Now, a lot of people take this as evidence of what you're talking about, a dumpster fire at the Fed. And it could be that, right? It's very, and there's lots of evidence that says the Federation hasn't been doing things there's not been very well run for a while. And I've certainly heard from people who consider the current leadership of the Federation to be absolutely 100% incompetent. Now you'd have to be a lot closer than I am for me to make that decision, but it's certainly
Marsch told you that.
Yeah, I got like a bat phone that goes straight up to Canada, and I get on the phone with Jesse Marsch, and he says, "So feel respect for the Gengen," or whatever it is.
I didn't realize you were filed as a foreign.
Yeah, I'm foreign asset. I got to be careful. I don't want to be on trial like Bob Menendez. How about that for current events on the Best Soccer Show? No, so Doug McIntyre says, and look, okay, there are a couple of different ways to parse this. And I, by the way, I'll just throw in that I have heard from secondhand sources, not from people directly involved in the Federation, whatever, but I have heard that Matt Crocker, Joe Cocker, has been going back and forth and had been in Europe, come back to the States briefly, and then gone back to Europe. So he, his focus isn't sitting in the office in Chicago or Atlanta or wherever they're based now and picking up the phone. His focus is on going and meeting people and going there, which, says a lot about the process at the moment. Now, if you are the most ultimately critical cynic when it comes to the U.S. soccer program, you could be reading this as this is all a dog and pony show. This is all about the look of it. This is all about perception. This is all about sending a message that they're shooting for a bigger name. But in the end, we're going to get and fill in the blank.
I don't think I'm that cynical. I think he is out there genuinely talking and like beating the fences and trying to figure out what's out there. I just don't know that what's out there is going to be affordable, available, or if the U.S. is attractive enough to grab him. But I do believe he's out there doing the actual work.
Okay, so you still have time for the idea that Matt Crocker is engaged and he wants to find the right coach, and he's empowered to do so. Let's keep that in mind too. Like, he has to be empowered to hire the coach. It can't be.
I don't think he gets to say what number the salary is going to be. I'm sure he's being given guidelines on that, but within that number, I think he does have full reign to make that decision.
Okay, I think he has to. Otherwise,
I think potentially he listened to too many people around him the first time, and he might be able to make that point and say like, hey, I really would listen to the people that were here and everything was going on. And this time I'm just going to go do it my way. And if you're an executive that's been put in charge of something, that's the latitude that you want. You want the chance to fail. You want the chance to step up and do things your way. And potentially he did things U.S. Soccer's way last time, and he wants to show what he can do and stand on his own merit. Okay. Real quick, this message from Nathan. Who are the foreign candidates last time around? I only remember the Gooch quote after the fact. I mean, if you believe, supposedly Zinedine Zidane was reached out to and passed.
Said no. Said hell no.
But there were people last time around that it was said that were reached out to.
Tata Martino would be a good example. Tata Martino was a name that got bandied about. That was before Greg was hired.
Bielsa was already hired, or they talked to Bielsa?
I don't think they talked to Bielsa. I don't remember hearing about Bielsa.
Well, that's part of the problem too, is that it's so under wraps that we don't truly know, other than the Zidane one, because that one was out there.
Lopetegui was mentioned, whether that was real or not. So let's get to whether things are real or not. Okay. So again, we'll go back to real or bullshit. Now that we know apparently Matt Crocker really is shaking the trees in Europe to find a coach. And it could be a European or it could be somebody else. Now let's rewind a bit. Since the last time you and I talked, two Spaniards got linked to the job. Okay. One of them is jacked. He's like 65 years old and he's jacked, Jared. And he's also the European champion at this point. And that's Luis de la Fuente.
I'm going to call bullshit on this one. I think this is in the vein of why every aging star leaving Europe is linked to the LA Galaxy. I think it is the chance to get your name in the press at a high level, use the USA as a mouthpiece and a megaphone to get your name out there as leverage with the Spanish Federation to get what he truly wants, which is to stay there through the World Cup.
Look, so
it'd be great though.
The Spanish Federation is a shit show, un desastre, right? It is a mess, and yet they have the Women's World Cup winners and the European champion. You know, I don't know what their financial situation is. I don't know how much money they had to dump on lawyers to defend their former president and all those things, but he's deserving of a raise. You know, the thing about De La Fuente, which is what got talked about a little bit in terms of trends and how things are going, and you now have the Copa America champion and the European champion, both coached by coaches who didn't have resumes of any note outside of their federations and coaching
especially
youth
Argentina's,
teams before they got to the top job. And a lot of people said that, you know, basically Scaloni was sort of like there to be a custodian because Messi was really the coach. And that may be true on some level. At least he's the captain. He's the big force. At least that's true. By the way, did you see Lionel Messi crying? Did you see that video?
Oh, yeah. It's rough.
Oh,
that was rough.
man.
Tell me that dude doesn't care. Tell
so
me that
bad.
dude doesn't. But here's the thing, no different than
wow.
Cristiano Ronaldo too, right? Those two guys, for say what you want about who they are as people or anything, those guys want. They want to be playing.
I know this is a little bit of a side quest, but I want to stick on this for a second because that's interesting. Because I think we see them through some sort of lens that we've created that may not be real or not because we don't know them. Right, we just know who they are on the field or who that they
what
look
they've been
like,
charged
right?
with.
Yeah. Well, sure. Hold on a second. I loaded it here. I gotta play it.
Jay Rodius.
Ronaldo is a preening, whatever you want to call him, right? Forget the charges, just in terms of on the field and kind of how he presents himself, media wise. The absolute. I need to be a perfect specimen of a human being. Lionel Messi, that guy. Right, he's sort of the not tortured. He's sort of the absent-minded genius. I think that's how people see Lionel Messi. Even though he's not minded, he kind of has this like he's just so blessed with his talent, and I think the difference here, and this is me seeing it through my lens. Ronaldo's wailing and crying and all that, and emoting beyond just the crying on the field during the game. Like I don't know that was so. People. That as not just he was upset he missed a goal for Portugal, but he was upset he missed a goal for himself. Right? He wanted to be the oldest player to score in a European championship. He had stated that was a thing he wanted to do, and he failed in that quest. And that was his opportunity. He was crying because he didn't set a record.
So you're saying that he was sad because he didn't achieve something personally.
Whereas
Messi gets the benefit of the doubt that it's
again,
altruistic.
This is so unfair to both of these guys. Right, because of how we watched it happen and how we watched it go down. There was 10 cameras on Cristiano Ronaldo crying after he missed his penalty.
Yep.
There's one camera that catches Messi on the bench after he rolls his ankle, and he's fighting it.
Like there's something different about Messi's one though, because in Messi's position, Cristiano Ronaldo is not injured in that moment.
No,
for Messi, the things going through his head is this it?
Is this it for me?
That's really something at his age when you have an injury that's taking out the field, which is a very un-Messi thing. The dude doesn't get injured that much. You know, he has an injury that has to take him out of a Copa America final, knowing where he's at, knowing in his career where he's at. He has to be thinking, man, am I going to play again? And that's a different level, I think, than what Cristiano Ronaldo is going through.
One thing I'll say about Messi, that is a solid dad cry, like a dad who doesn't want to get caught crying. He's emotional, he's feeling it's there, but he doesn't. That was a solid A+ dad cry from Lionel Messi.
All right, how the hell did we get on that?
Scaloni, was he Messi's guy? Was he just there to be? But he's one thing.
But I don't think USA can go the Scaloni route. That was a risk. That was no.
But this started with De La Fuente, right? Who also kind of took a path. He's older, but he took a path that wasn't go get a great or go win a bunch of things in the club level or whatever. He got to that point, and the reason that we are calling bullshit on his candidacy for the U.S. men's national team, and lots of people look, this is everybody's opinion. Everybody agrees on this that De La Fuente was using U.S. soccer, and Stephen Goff confirmed that they reached out to U.S. soccer. I think they did everything they could to make it legit and make it look real. And I'm sure that if Spain said, no, we're not paying you another dime, and U.S. soccer came in with a double or triple offer, he might consider taking it. Right?
But I don't think that was his desire.
His intention was to stay with Spain.
I mean, the job's open for God's sake. Like
the what?
England jobs open for God's sakes,
sure.
There's other national teams as well that would probably be a better, or I say a more apropos to his level of coaching after just winning the Euros.
Yeah. So right. I mean, again, his resume screams bigger job than the U.S. men's.
I'm calling bullshit on that one.
We're calling bullshit on that one. So the other name, Spanish name linked to the job is Rafa Benitez. I'm really having trouble with this one, and maybe the chat can help me. If you guys have seen different things, what I've seen is Guillem Balaguer going on television and saying that Benitez would be a good fit for the U.S. men's national team.
Not that he's being considered.
I did not hear him say that Rafa Benitez wants the job.
It feels a bit like it's another guy who wants to get his name out there this summer. Probably looking for another gig.
Just got fired by Celta Vigo, by the way, should be mentioned.
Yeah, I think this is a guy knocking at the door of a business, cold calling, and being like, "Hey, do you need help with your temporary staffing?" He's just cold calling a national team, seeing what's out there. Maybe he think, "Hey, I got this. Are you interested in this?" That's where I'm kind of.
I also think that there's a relationship there between Balaguer and Benitez, and it makes me feel. I mean, we're sitting.
If you're gonna grab a coach to play Benitez ball, you'll go get Mourinho instead, right? Like if you want someone's gonna play negative soccer, you're gonna go get the king of it and get Mourinho.
But Mourinho's not available. He took a job in Turkey, so he's under contract. Whereas Benitez is not. And obviously, it's about what you can get, who you can actually aim for and hire.
I think Benitez would be he's
doable. He's doable
for sure. And I think when you're talking about a 2-year lease of a coach hired to just be an assassin and get results, Benitez ticks that box a bit. Like this is a guy who's probably going to be could be very results oriented if you want to. His style of play is not adventurous or it doesn't expose teams that often, their own team that often. He's going to be pragmatic in the way he approaches things, but it doesn't necessarily. When you talk to the average US fan on how they want this team to play, I don't think his style matches with what they want this team to do.
I don't think that has anything to do with who gets hired for the job, though, does it? You hire a good coach and you presume that he will adapt as necessary. Like hire a coach with experience, hire a coach with chops, hire a coach who understands varying ways of playing. Like you can argue about Benitez and how he played at various recent stops. And did you watch a lot of Celta Vigo? You watched a little Celta Vigo?
No, I didn't watch much of it all, other than watching highlights of Johnny.
Yeah, so
look at Del Torre, sorry.
Del Torre, because Johnny was at Betis. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We and I do think he played with a couple of holding midfielders. He wasn't.
I remember what Newcastle looked like.
But he's playing with a team that doesn't have the talent, right? That's the thing. You are adjusting to the situation you're in. If you're coaching Celta Vigo, your goal is to stay up. Right? Your goal is to stay in La Liga. So are you going to go out there and run 5 guys in attack? No, because that doesn't make any sense. And
all right, so are we both calling bullshit on this one? I'm calling bullshit on this one.
Man, I
think I know you're right. I think he spoke to the federation, but it was probably more his going to them than them going to him. But I think it's bullshit in terms of him being an actual candidate for
I will throw this on the pile of information. Jackie's saying that Balaguer was saying that he talked to Luca de la Torre about U.S. soccer and the job. Whether or not that was like, hey, tell me a little bit about your team.
He handed him a note and said, check if you like me that way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I will call bullshit right now. I'm calling bullshit now because I don't have anything else except for Guillem Balaguer's words on Golazo to go on. Like I don't have anything else at the moment. I'm going to call bullshit. Doesn't mean he's not somewhat interested, but I don't know that.
When I'm saying bullshit or real, I'm talking about, are they going to get hired? That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, right. Are are they being considered by U.S. Soccer, and would they consider the job? That's a real candidate.
Yeah.
Bullshit is they're too big for U.S. Soccer and wouldn't take the job.
Most U.S. fans don't want to hear this, but bullshit is Klopp.
No, everybody knows Klopp was bullshit. Yeah, no. It was
people from.
They called him up. They took their shot.
This is how every dude in like the early 2000s thought if they could just talk to Heidi Klum.
Well, I mean, I would say it's kind of like.
I mean, Tim Howard says just put him in a room with him.
Everybody producing a movie with with moderate budget, calling up Ryan Reynolds or whoever and being like, "Will you be in my flick?" And he's like, "No." I got other stuff.
Supposedly that's how you get Bill Murray in your flicks.
Well, yeah, that's
leave
true.
A message on his answering machine.
That's true. I guess that would be the case.
Who's next?
We're gonna call bullshit on Benitez. All right, so that will move us on to I think 2 candidates that I don't know that they're going to move the needle. This is interesting to me. No, we're going to get to both of them individually, and I think I'll start with Gareth Southgate. Okay, because. And this is, to me, as a function of timing, right? He leaves the England job. The U.S. job is open. There's this kind of, we're cousins across the Atlantic. We speak the same language. Everybody in this country, not everybody, but lots of people are tuned into the Premier League and English football. So we kind of feel like there's a thing there. I think the question of whether or not Gareth Southgate would be a good fit for the national team and whether you would want him to be your head coach is a separate question than is it bullshit that he's a really a candidate. So what do you want to do first?
I would say it's not bullshit. I think it's real in that I think the U.S. Soccer Federation is actually considering him. Okay. I think he's actively being pursued.
Our boy Joe Cocker's definitely got he's got a line of communication. He knows the guy. He's worked with the guy essentially. So there's that, right?
But here's where there's a little bit of bullshit to me. I don't see how this is a move up in any way for Southgate.
Well, I
think this is I think this is him keeping the oven hot while other things cook.
That's possible. That's possible to have U.S. Soccer sort of there as his safety school in a way, right? To be like, okay, well, I really have my eyes on this job or that job, and how many Premier League jobs are open right now that are attractive to Gareth Southgate? I don't know, right? I don't think there are many and I think this is a really weird situation for Southgate. He achieved things with England that they hadn't achieved in a very long time.
And
yet everybody thinks of him as a disappointment.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody thinks of him as a guy who underachieved, not overachieved. Doesn't matter what the history of the English national team
But this is one thing that America has in common with England. We overvalue the talent that we have.
I suppose that's true. Now, I think it's easier to argue that England actually did have world-class talent than the United States has the talent to compete in a World Cup or a Copa America. You can pick out players. I mean, you've got the player of the year in Spain. You've got the player of the year in the Premier League. You've got one of the great strikers of the generation. You've got this guy. And that, I mean, the midfielders.
I do think that the English player is more of a prima donna, though, than some of the less talented players in those Euros that also succeeded. Like, when you look at Spain's team, do you really think that they have the same mental approach as the average? Yeah. Like,
that's a good. Well, that's the thing about this Spain team. And kind of why I picked them to win the whole thing in the beginning is because they didn't look like it. They looked like a team with a lot of talent. They looked like a team that was capable of winning it, but they did not look like a team that had this kind of weird push-pull of star players, the way that France did, the way that England did.
They were inspired with the way they played like Spain did, or even Austria.
No,
I would rather watch an Austria game than an England game.
So, and that's the criticism, right? That England
can't win with style.
Less than the sum of their parts. That and again, here's the thing: you go back and you look at the groups. You go back and look at the knockout phase, World Cup semifinal, couple of Euro finals. It feels like, to KY's point, they had easy draws. They had easier paths, right?
For sure.
The best.
Netherlands, the only team they played.
The only team they beat on the way to the final was the Dutch, and that was not a great Dutch team, right? And we knew that. We knew that going in. We saw it in the tournament. They had some nice moments, but when Weghorst is coming off the bench to save you, that's not a great Dutch team.
Southgate can only play the teams in front of him.
That's fair. That's a good point.
So why does he take a knock? Because if you're going to play worse teams, you should be beating them convincingly. That's probably the knock, right?
Sure.
And USA has that problem too, because when you play in CONCACAF.
Well, so if you have an easier path to a final, okay, great. It's not your fault. But when you get to the final,
you should be fresher.
If you fail twice, when it's right there in front of you, people are going to say that's on you. And it's still a small sample size. I think, here's the thing. I think Gareth Southgate is a pretty good soccer coach. I don't think he's a great soccer coach. Sure. I don't think he's a transformative soccer coach. I don't think he's a guy who, who can roll into the club game and be a success there as well.
I think he actually is the level of what the U.S. soccer is looking for. I honestly do. I think that is probably his level.
If you're talking about us, going right into our lane, I think Gareth Southgate, who's going to command some money because of what he's done and where he's coached, but not crazy amounts because he hasn't won a bunch of trophies. He could be. I don't know anything about his fondness for America, but he could be attracted to the job for cultural reasons. It's communications right there. He's
not coming with trophies, but he's coming with results. He has receipts that he can pull out there, like 3 finals in three competitions. Well, semifinals, excuse me, 2 finals and a semifinal.
Yeah.
I mean, no one else that the U.S. is talking to has that on their resume.
Well, here's the thing, and let's just.
But I still say no.
Right. Hold on. Let's just keep this in mind. The U.S. men's national team has never had a coach even remotely close in terms of success in major tournaments to Gareth Southgate. Never.
Yeah.
And that's
as a
that's
coach,
you have Jurgen Klinsmann made one semifinal with Germany, right? He made one semifinal.
Yeah.
In a home tournament. Not that I'm not trying to discount too much, and we know about Yogi Love's influence.
And Robin won the fight, not Batman.
Yeah, I mean that's what everybody believes, right? So you have one guy with a little bit of success internationally, and then you've got a bunch of guys who were either Americans who were MLS coaches before they got the job, or Bora, who was just kind of the
gun for hire.
Yeah, it was a hired gun, had been around the block at a time when we couldn't get anybody else.
He was like a Timu Gus Hiddink.
That's pretty good, man. I like that. That's good. He was a Timu Gus Hiddink. You're not going to get the real thing, so go over there and get the knockout version. Yeah. Look, and I don't know that means that we should be like running to try to convince Gareth Southgate to coach our team, but I don't know that I would. If they hired him, I would be like, oh my God, this is a disaster. I can't believe they hired Gareth Southgate, because he still
that tracks.
Has done more than anybody we've ever had.
The problem is the average US fan wants to be excited for this team, and Gareth Southgate doesn't make you excited for the team.
That's I guess that's a good point. But what do you care about more, right? So let's do a hypothetical. Let's just turn this into one of these. Gareth Southgate plays boring soccer a la England over the last 5-6 years, whatever it's been. And the U.S. men's national team makes a quarterfinal run at the World Cup in 2026. Or you go get somebody who plays more attractive soccer. He's slinging out, throwing players into attack. We're going for goals. Maybe we're scoring a bunch of goals against CONCACAF opponents or friendlies or whatever we got between now and then. And we go out in the round of 16 again at the World Cup.
I would take the former. I would take the former. It's a results-based business, and with the World Cup, just think the amount of exposure this team gets with another 4 to 5 days of going deep. This country loves tournaments.
So let me ask you,
and it loves Cinderella teams.
Okay, let me ask you this way. Okay, let's do it again. I like this down. England's run at the Euros. Imagine this U.S. men's national team in a World Cup or in another Copa or something. England's run, final loss, playing some boring football. Nobody likes it. They don't score goals. Their expected goals are the lowest in the tournament, except for Georgia or somebody, or Austria in this tournament.
I'm taking England still, because, like I said, at the end of the day, you want the result. It's at home. You want to say that if you make a quarterfinal, you've now matched what the best team of all time has ever done for the U.S., which is 2002 Japan and Korea. I mean, that's big. That's a huge accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, Gareth Southgate could put his hat on that and say, like, I did it again. I met expectations with another team. But none of us are going to be like, oh, man, I can't wait to watch this for 90 minutes.
Did we declare this?
It's going to be white knuckle.
Real or bullshit? Did we declare?
It's real. It's real.
It's got to be real.
I think it's real. I wouldn't put it as the most likely option still. I think there's I think there's potentially one other option that is more likely than this one.
Yeah.
But I think this one and another one we're about to talk about, I put in kind of equal status in terms of real.
The last thing I'll say about Southgate is that he is in this weird twilight zone spot, right? He has achieved something internationally, but not won trophies. He's labeled an underachiever. He's labeled as a guy who plays boring football. He's labeled as a guy who doesn't know how to change games. He did it once or twice in this tournament, and we were kind of flipping it on its head. No, now Gareth Southgate, he puts who would he put on? Cole Palmer. He put on the striker who scored the goal, Ollie Watkins. He put on Ollie Watkins, changed the game. Great job by Southgate. And then they lose the final, and it's all out the window, and he's a terrible coach again. I don't think he's got the cachet to get a big-time job on the club level off of his international career as a coach. Okay. So he will be stuck with, do I take a lower-tier job on the club level, or do I go with another national team and maybe I build myself a legacy?
I think he can get a top tier job in another league, just not in England.
I
think the English fans are.
No, but you think a German team or an
Italian team or something like that?
Italian team is not hiring. They've got coaches coming out of everywhere in Italy.
The way he plays, that's a very Italian style. The way he plays.
But okay. I don't think they would touch Gareth Southgate in Italy.
Okay.
Who's the last English manager to manage in England? I mean, in Italy.
I can't even remember, man.
Who was it, right? They don't really export English managers all that much. Doesn't happen all that much. All right, so that leaves us
next
with the last one for real or bullshit, and it is the one that most recently added to the list.
Wait, only one? I think of two.
Oh, who you got? Give me the name that maybe I'm missing one.
What are we going to talk about? Pochettino?
Oh, I missed. Well, I missed him. You're right. I missed Mauricio Pochettino, and I should have thrown him in there. That's my fault. So before we go to the most recent one, let's do Mauricio Pochettino, formerly of Chelsea, quit that job. Surprisingly,
last week when we talked, I was kind of cold on this. I wasn't very. I just didn't like the idea of it. I gotta say, as a week removed, and the more I've thought about it, this might be the one I want most out of the names that have been mentioned.
Okay.
And I don't have a lot of basis for it, other than the fact that I think it combines, like when you get Gareth Southgate or something like that, you're going to get more of a negative style of ball. I don't think Pochettino is going to give you that. I think he's going to give you an attempt to play attractive, but he's going to have at least he's going to be reserved enough to know when to try it and when not. Well, I think he's going to try to play a better style. And I think he's the best of both worlds in that regard, of the people that are out there right now being talked about, at least.
I think Pochettino is the most well-rounded tactician that we have in this group, right? Yeah. I
don't think every game's going to be the same with him. I think he will game plan to opponents. I think he'll try different formations. I think that sometimes it'll fail, sometimes it won't. But I think at the end of the day, you'll always understand why he did the things that he was doing.
Yeah,
it'll make sense.
There are a couple things about Pochettino. Obviously, a bit of a hired gun in terms of his career, where it's gone, where it's taken him. He's managed some massive clubs with massive expectations. He's had, reasonable success. I thought he did a very good job with Chelsea, considering the situation.
Yeah,
like I think
the guy who succeeded there.
Right. I mean, it was almost impossible to imagine anybody doing well at Chelsea, considering the current situation. Then he walks away, right? Which I think that has a lot. I mean, I don't know exactly what that's about, but there were moments during the season when you can tell he wasn't happy. I think there was a concern at Chelsea about leadership. They didn't really have that guy. Cole Palmer emerged as a key player, but is he a leader? They're a very young team. I don't know. I don't know what it is that Pochettino decided made him not want to coach Chelsea anymore. He's available.
I'd be a little bit surprised if he was truly available and really, really thinking about this job. I think
in terms of the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because he's not there. There's no stink on him. I think he's still a guy who could get a very, very, very good club job if he wanted it. And because of that, it's really hard to imagine that he's a legitimate candidate, that U.S. Soccer could convince him to. How old is he? 50,
51,
something like that. He's not very old, right? So he's got, he does not have. He's 52. He does not have the profile of an international manager coming from the club game, right? Sometimes you get like a Scaloni, or sometimes you get other coaches who who kind of work their way through international football before they land at the top levels. But how many really successful club managers transitioned to international football at the age of 52? It's not a long list, man.
But here, I would give you one reason why maybe it's legit.
Okay.
This dude only likes to live in good, big places. The guy,
Paris,
Chelsea, London.
Chelsea's
London. Tottenham's London.
Wait
Paris
a second.
is. Listen, he may have to have a home in Atlanta, but he's going to live in New York.
That's what I was going to ask you. They're going to make him reside in Atlanta?
If Pochettino came into Joe Cocker's office and said, like, dude, I'm in, but I have one condition: I'm not living in Atlanta. Do you think they're going to say no to that?
I don't actually think, and I don't think they're going to publicize it because it makes them look bad for having the rule in the
They'll
first
have
place.
a federation residence that he can use whenever he wants in Atlanta.
No, what I was going to say is I don't think they're going to suddenly make an announcement. U.S. men's national team coaches are no longer required to live in the city where the federation is based. That was an Ernie Stewart thing, from my understanding. That was Ernie's
thing
rule
anyway.
And I don't think Joe Cocker or Matt
Half
Crocker
this country can work from home these days.
is going to be saying you have to live in Hotlanta. So I know we don't use that. I'm sorry, the ATL. I'm sorry, all the nicknames. You don't have to live.
Pochettino, there. I'm saying real, but borderline real. I think that I think there is a little bit of heat there. I don't think it's bullshit. I don't think it's likely though, but that would be my number one of the candidates we talk about right now.
Man, I wish we had like levels of bullshit, levels of real, because this one feels like just on the line to bullshit. Like I'm thinking, I can't see it. I can't see it. I mean, there may be a conversation. I would not doubt there could be a conversation.
I would say it's kind of like Dolly Parton's breast. It's like I think they're real, but there's no way it's real, right?
Is that how you've been living your whole life? Because she's been around forever. So you
telling me that's not one of your life's great mysteries?
When was the first time you had that thought come into your mind? How old do you think you were?
I don't know. Like
what Dolly Parton product were you consuming at the time? What were you watching?
Steel Magnolias? I don't
Best
know.
Little Whorehouse in Texas? What were you?
Oh, maybe so.
What were you watching?
Maybe 5. I don't know.
Oh man, 9 to 5.
Your parents didn't have that Kenny Rogers Dolly Parton record growing up?
You mean Islands in the Stream?
Wow. I didn't know what the name of it was. You did.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
All I'm saying is that sometimes you can't tell if something's real or not.
That is what
it really
are.
To find out. And that's where I am with this.
Who doesn't love Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton singing Islands in the Stream? All right. I'll go real too, but I'm not super comfortable with it.
I'll say if it's not real, I want to know who his surgeon is.
Well, that brings us to Patrick Vieira. That's the name that has been most recently added to this list.
Yeah.
Reports out there. I think Fabrizio Romano had this. I think other reporters have been saying that there's a conversation happening with Patrick Vieira. Now,
here.
You tell me, does Patrick Vieira check the big name foreign coach box?
Ooh, you put a second qualifier in there as you were talking. Big name, yes. Big name coach, not so much.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
This is where the sliding scale likely lands, in that you have Steve Cherundolo at one end, and you have Pochettino at the other end. Then you have Patrick Vieira, which is the attempt to get a little bit of both of those ends of the scale. A name that is known, but a guy who actually is, you could probably get achievable at a good price and knows the American player and the American system a bit. So like he falls into that category. The problem is it's hard to stand on his coaching career as enough to get this job. Yeah. But it gives you some of the things you think you need. It's a weird name.
I think this is a window dressing hire if they go after Vieira. He is not any more accomplished.
We're both agreeing it's real though, right? This isn't bullshit.
As a manager. Hold on. He's not any more accomplished as a manager than Steve Cherundolo is. He's coached in England a little bit, and he coached in France.
Steve Cherundolo has a trophy.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? Okay. Like whatever you want to say about MLS, the level of it, blah, blah, blah. You can't tell me that winning an MLS Cup trophy isn't a better resume than what Patrick Vieira has done in his limited time after leaving NYCFC, which is a team, by the way, that won a championship after he left. Right. And then it's just getting too greedy to what SEO Spider just said that you put on the screen. Shouldn't we hire a coach who has won somewhere? Like, is it too greedy to say we need now? Maybe
he won the Premier League.
Maybe it is.
Sure.
I'm going to read you what it says in Dougie Mack's report. Right. So this is where I am when we get to real or bullshit on Patrick Vieira. Faced with a sobering reality, there are no U.S. coaches who are habitual winners at the highest level and are available right now, if there are any at all, and there aren't. U.S. Soccer sporting director Matt Crocker has instead set his sights on attracting the most accomplished international manager possible. Multiple sources told Fox this week. What has Patrick Vieira accomplished? What's he accomplished? Has he accomplished anything?
Well, he didn't say as a coach.
Okay.
He said the most. Wait. Say that quote again. The most accomplished coach or most accomplished
international manager possible. The most accomplished international. Now, by the way, that means that somebody like Hervé Renard is way above Patrick Vieira in terms of the pecking order.
2 AFCONs, right?
Now, whether or not Hervé Renard is actually in frame here, I don't know. I think we are. I think everybody's.
It's tough because the Olympics coming up. It's masking this a bit. Whether or not he's truly a part of it. I mean,
he's not going to be talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unlike Steve Cherundolo, he's going to answer that question like, I'm the coach and I have a good job to do over the next 4 weeks, and that's all I care about right now. Like, that's an easy answer for him. But didn't Joe Cocker also say that he wants to have this done by September? Is that what he said?
He said they want to have somebody installed before the Canada game on September 7th.
So that puts the end of the Olympics right in that scope. So you got to ask yourself, why did he choose that date? Why did he choose that date?
I don't know why he.
I think because one of his potential candidates is at the Olympics during that time.
Maybe. I don't know why Matt Crocker decided to put a date on this. That seems odd to me. I'm not saying that you want to let it go forever, but I don't know that rushing actually does anything for you, right? And that's rushing. I mean, we are what
What's the right time period? What's the right time period? Like, they did their work, and this is like, what's the time?
Okay.
Like,
this is made more complicated by the fact that you don't have competitive qualifiers going into the World Cup, right? So then you get in your head.
In the fact that this is happening during a window where coaches are available. This is a good time to do this.
And that may be the thinking. The thinking may be we're not going to have a deeper pool of candidates at any point, more than now.
And that's
until next summer, which means you wait a full year before you go through this again.
Yep.
So and you definitely don't want to do that. So, if you are talking about somebody who is in a club environment or was and is available now, that's the thing. That's why the idea of Pochettino is even possible, right? Because again, he does not fit the profile as a coach who would take an international job right now, based on the fact he is certainly good enough to get another high-level job somewhere in a top 5 league in Europe. So the only reason he's in play is because he's out of a job right now. So you could make a run at him if you throw a big enough number at him. And I don't know that that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be good enough for Pochettino. Now, in terms of Vieira being real or bullshit, I will say real, but he's not the ideal candidate. Like he's not the guy that I think Matt Crocker wants. I think Matt Crocker wants somebody who's done more on the international stage, and that's certainly not
Patrick Vieira. Is the guy that he's like the version. Everyone knows that one friend that we have that married the first girl that said yes to him.
I thought you were going to say marry the first girl who did something else, but that's
that's what I'm saying. Said yes to that.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Oh my God, this person actually said I could touch them. Like, I'm going to marry this one. Like, not because it's the right person, but it's the person who said yes. And I think Patrick Vieira kind of falls into that category a little bit.
Well, he feels safety schoolish. And I don't know. Yeah, we could talk about. I don't want to get into an argument about who's more accomplished, Patrick Vieira or Steve Cherundolo as a coach. Clearly, Patrick Vieira had a playing career that goes beyond Cherundolo's, as good as Cherundolo's was,
for sure.
And obviously, he's coached in higher profile leagues.
Was he on the Invincibles that year? Was he on that team?
Yes. That I don't know how far that goes. Your playing career leading into a job like this. And Patrick Vieira, by the way,
speaking of Invincibles, I got to pick your poison for you.
Oh, I like it when you throw one at me. Oh, and let me pull the sound effect. Poison.
If you had to pick one of the two, are you taking Patrick Vieira or Thierry Henry to be your coach?
Oh man, this is fair because I fanboy Thierry Henry a little
Oh,
bit.
I know. Why do you think I picked it?
I fanboy Thierry Henry. I just watched the video of him like just chopping people up, just destroying people. It was amazing. Man, Henry's got no coaching record whatsoever. Whatever
But
that one
that can
season
work
in
both
Montreal.
ways. Like he's not really that much of a failure.
Yeah,
he was doing okay at Montreal before he had to leave because his family couldn't get over there.
So I have no idea who could get better
dancing.
results. What I do know is that press conferences and content and following this team would be a lot more fun if Thierry Henry.
Which coach knows the American player better?
Probably Vieira, because he actually spent
really
more than a year. I mean, I know Henry was here.
Henry played here for years.
I know he did, but I don't. I think it. You know, I don't know. You think
Henry knows? I think Henry knows the American player better.
I think Henry's a very smart guy. Whether that means he's a good coach is a different question.
Agreed.
I think he's a very smart guy.
God dang it, isn't there part of you just wants to take the flyer and see what happens? If we're going to be in a see what happens kind of thing, I'd rather see what happens with him.
Important to note that Thierry Henry is leading the French Olympic team.
Again, while we're waiting till September, baby, we got our eye on Renard. We got our eye on Henry. If Henry, wait, is he Renard's assistant coach?
No, Renard's coaching the women.
Oh yeah, never mind. I apologize. So let's say Henry's French team wins
by the
way,
Olympics.
Let's say his French team wins the Olympics.
Wait. Is it fair that France is rolling out Olympic teams with Thierry Henry and Hervé Renard as their coaches?
Hey, someone's had to hire him.
I mean, no, I just mean
okay. If Henry wins the Olympics,
everybody else French team, troll.
If
everybody
he wins the Olympics with that French team, does that make him good enough to coach this U.S. team?
It doesn't make him good enough that I would be like, yes, home run, sign him up. But it would make me feel slightly better about it. Yes.
Does it tilt the favor of saying no to Vieira and yes to Henry?
I'm sorry. Say that again. What?
If he wins the Olympics, does that tilt in his favor the conversation between Henry and Vieira?
I would think it would probably do that. I mean, you know, Vieira's got more experience overall as a head coach, but he's got no international experience. I think the Olympics are sort of like coaching Pee-wee. I mean, it's not
the U.S. team is basically a U23 team.
I don't think that's it at all. You know, people would listen to the players would listen to Henry when he walks onto the field. They would respect him, obviously, because of his playing career. I think that might be true with Vieira too. That's probably true with Vieira, which is part of the reason you could say, hey, maybe the playing career does matter here.
Yeah, not a single player has a better career than.
But I don't know. Vieira. I mean, I think both those guys would hold the USMNT national team players to a high standard. That's definitely a fact. Man, I don't know. And Jason is saying that Henry will get the France job, taking over for Deschamps if France wins the Olympics.
Deschamps already got signed through the next World Cup.
Well, Deschamps is like furniture, but that doesn't mean he can't be pushed out. He can't be.
Do you think the French are that in love with Thierry Henry that they would put him in charge of that team?
I think the French are messy enough that there could be a moment when it's just like, Didier, get the hell out of here. We've got Thierry Henry, and who doesn't love Thierry Henry, right?
Man.
Like this is an extremely difficult thing for Matt Crocker to do. Man, this is a really tough thing.
To sum up, though, as we approach the hour mark here, I think both of us are Pochettino as the best name in that mix.
He is the best name among the candidates we've deemed to be real on some level.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's 100% true.
What's your ranking if you're a rank 3?
Man, Pochettino. I would be okay with Benitez. I really would.
We're calling that real, though.
I'm calling that real.
Okay.
I'm calling Benitez real. I think he's sort of desperate enough at this point. And I do think that I did call it bullshit because all we have is Balaguer's report, right?
Yeah.
That's all we've got.
That's okay. Let's go with it. Go with it. That's fine. And what's your third?
How many real candidates the real candidates we've got are Pochettino.
I think Renard's real as well.
You think Renard's real?
I think it's real. Right. I just think it can't be that out in the open right now because he's got a tournament he's running.
Okay.
I would go Pochettino.
Yeah. Renard.
Yeah.
Vieira. Dolo below Vieira, or you just
I just think that the U.S. I think Matt Crocker has made his decision that this next coach is not going to be American.
Okay, all right. Maybe he should coach the team himself. He's a Welshman. So,
what's your third?
Oh,
available.
I'm sorry. What?
I hear Ryan Giggs is available.
In case. Pochettino, Renard. I mean, we're not talking about Henry being serious, right? We're calling bullshit on Henry right now.
You do think if that phone rang, he wouldn't be answering it? So it's real if it wants to be real. But yeah, I don't know. There's got legs right now.
If we're calling Henry real, I would put him above Vieira. I know. I'm a fanboy. What can I say?
Oh man, I wanted to do it.
That's what can I say? All right, odds and ends.
At the end of the day, let's both get really used to Steve Cherundolo, though.
Oh man, I hope not. That was such an awkward ass answer. I love Steve as a player. He's done a good job in LA.
One of my all-time favorite U.S. men's national team players.
No more. Let's not do this. Let's not go back to this well, right?
Give the guy a time to cook. Let that guy go do his thing, and then he'll still be there after 2026. Yeah, like I think he's a guy that maybe if he keeps on the track record he's on and the trajectory he's on, he's your guy in 2026 to see through the next 4 years. He's not the guy for the next 2 years of a results-based win now scenario.
When we have to qualify for 2030, which is that tournament been awarded yet? Do we know what that's going to be? Where's 2030?
Wasn't it going to be a bunch of countries?
Isn't Saudi Arabia it was Saudi Arabia. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia. I forgot. They made a run, pushed everybody out. Australia got all pissed off. I think it's already in Saudi, right? Am I wrong about that?
We're going to have a winter one again?
I guess, man. This is the thing. Here's the thing. International football sucks now. International soccer blows in a lot of different ways.
Real quick before we get out, there's a different thing, but I want to cover this real quick before we leave. After watching the Copa America final, how worried are you about the U.S.'s preparedness to be able to pull off the World Cup? Are you putting it on CONMEBOL? Are you putting it on the U.S.?
Like a 10, I think it's going to be an absolute tragic disaster, and a 1 is we're totally fine. It's a 5.
I think it's going to be less than that. I think the average American stadium logistics person didn't understand what Copa America was. And I think CONMEBOL is trash anyway. But let's not forget, the CONMEBOL runs these things down in South America all the time. Yeah. I think that the World Cup, first of all, the U.S. can stage big events. We know that. They do 100,000 people into these stadiums all the time. For sure. I think they potentially didn't anticipate what the average South American fan was willing to do to get into that game.
I think CONMEBOL skimped. I think there was a lot of miscommunication and mistakes made. Blah, blah, blah. By the way, I got it a little bit wrong. 2030 is they're going to do some weird thing where some of the games are going to be South America because of the 100th year. I think Uruguay hosted.
Oh, sorry.
And then Spain and Morocco were also going to be hosting as a dual. Portugal is involved. Is that right? Morocco, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, Portugal, Spain. Some nonsense like that because FIFA's messed up. And then Saudi Arabia in 2034, where they sort of just bought it. Which
are they going to have air conditioning in stadiums yet? Have they figured out this cloud thing?
Probably. Man, look, they got to figure out air conditioning that whole country for reasons I don't want to talk about because it's very sad. Go look at the current events in the last couple of weeks in Saudi Arabia. What's been going on? All right. Odds and ends. We should note the fact that a 14-year-old and a guy who broke Freddie Adu's record made his debut in Major League Soccer last night, Jared.
The only thing I have to say about this is that when I look at Kevin Sullivan's picture, like leading up to the game, all I can think about is I remember being that age and thinking that chain was a good idea. And being like, for the rest of his life, he's going to wish he didn't wear that chain in that picture.
Look, that is a tough thing.
Listen, raise your hand if you've got a 14-year-old. Like, I can't imagine. Like, that's crazy that my kid would be
a 16-year-old, and no way. I mean, firstly, he's not an athlete, but no way would I ever imagine him being able.
More power to him. I just hope that he can live up to the hype.
Play with his brother is cool. That's cool. I mean,
his brother scored a nice goal.
We get excited. We're like, oh, high school brothers are playing on the same team. It's like, no, Quinn and Kevin are playing together on an MLS.
When's the last time you thought about an Aronson?
It's good. They've eclipsed the Aaronsons as the
honestly,
royalty of the brothers.
The Aaronsons haven't been doing much.
No, that's true. I think we got to give Paxton a little bit more time to cook. I know he's not.
Brendan going back to Leeds.
Well, yeah, I know. What do you want him to do? We'll see if we're help him get back up.
It's gonna be tough.
We'll do that. Okay. Was there other business? I don't care about MLS All-Star Game stuff. What else? What else was out there? You said
Cucho Torres. I mean,
Cucho Hernandez. You're talking about Chicho Arango.
Chicho Arango. Wow, guy, I can't get Cucho and Chicho mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
But Chicho Arango, do we know yet why he's suspended 4 games and why they're counting the All-Star game as one of them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know any of these things. I mean, I saw the suspension, obviously, but what had happened? What
I can't imagine an All-Star game ever serving as an official suspension game. That is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Sure. It's nuts. And
that's a clown. That's a clown league right there.
I mean, MLS does a lot of things okay. They do some things very well, and then other things are like, what the hell's happening here?
Just don't hurt my Ricky Pooch at the All-Star game.
And now we're going to be running straight into. I mean, the Olympics are going to be a little bit of focus for a lot of people. Then we're straight into Leagues Cup after all this, right? That's coming.
Is Leagues Cup even a thing with Messi not playing now?
I mean, do they? Have to shut
how much of a hit is that competition going to take year over year? It was already going to be tough to replicate last season because Messi hits right at Leagues Cup.
Don't think that it wasn't completely calculated, that they didn't say, he's out for 8 to 12 weeks or whatever. They put indefinite because they don't want to put a time limit because they don't want to have to tell people.
I read it like he could be ready anytime. We're just not sure how long it's going to take. That's how I read
it. That's how they want you to read it. They want you to read it that way because then it sounds like, maybe Messi's going to play. We can sell more tickets and get more attention.
Man. Michelob Ultra's pissed.
This is actually something we did want to get to. We have maybe 3 minutes to do it. Connor is saying, will the women's national team medal? And we can throw the men in here as well. Right? Our confidence level. What's your confidence level? I don't know that DEFCON's ready to go.
Of medaling, I put it in the high 80%
for the women. For the women.
Yeah, for the women. Medal, I think they're in the 80th percentile to medal. I don't know that if we're talking about gold, I'm a little less convinced. I'm less convinced of that. I think they can
win gold. I'm not sure they will win gold.
I think I felt a lot better for that Costa Rica game.
Yeah.
Things were what I do like is that that there's a clear defining line in Emma Hayes' new vision of this team. And she is not afraid. She is imparting her vision. She is a clear line in the sand of where we were and where we're going. And whether or not that will yield results, I don't know. But I'm more interested of watching this team than I was the World Cup team.
Oh, okay. Right. Because it feels like this is a fresh start, whereas that team
Mal Swanson in that, it was a lot of people hanging on that shouldn't be hanging on.
Bad timing and bad fortune.
A coach that doesn't inspire, When Emma Hayes' team so far has been clicking, it's been fun to watch. It's been real fun to watch.
So if you're catching up on this, the United States is grouped with Zambia, Germany, and Australia. So there's 2 pretty heavy hitters. Germany's definitely a heavy hitter. And then Australia's capable.
Yeah,
they're capable. So that's not a pushover. They open up with Zambia. So they open up the easiest game in the group.
This is going to be an issue of how far can you rack up the goals against Zambia. It could come down to goal differential in this one.
Yeah, you definitely need that. Just again, we're not counting any chickens yet. You can get into the knockout phase as a third place team. Just keep that in mind. It is possible. I mean, the third place teams will advance in some cases. So Germany, Australia, they're in group B. So if you manage to win the group, you get the runner up from Group C. That's Spain, Japan, Nigeria, and Brazil. So you're going to face. If you win the group, you get a heavy hitter.
I'll tell you what, the team I don't want out of that is Japan. That's the one I don't want out of that.
Spain's the reigning world champion, but maybe they don't have the best
but
group.
You know what? I think Japan for some reason is a more trap game for me.
All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, again, it's at the Olympic tournament's weird. The U.S. women are in transition, capable maybe, but not looking like a favorite. And the U.S. men, I mean, don't give me a confidence level on medaling because I don't think there is a confidence level.
I don't know if they make it out of the group.
You don't think they get out of the group?
I don't know that they get out of the group. No, like, I mean, they have, I guess Guinea, New Zealand, and France. So yeah, I can see them getting out of the group. But I don't know that this is a team that inspires me to want to watch. It just, when I look down, like, what's the player you're tuning in? No Diego Luna makes me not want to watch this team.
Yeah, I know everybody's upset about.
I mean, Esmir's there, Taylor Booth's there. Those are attractive to me.
I like Esmir. I do.
No Jalen Neal. That's less enticing for me. Oh no, I'm sorry. Jalen Neal did make it. I apologize. He did get added at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
wait, did he? Did he get added?
He's on the list right here.
So that's the U.S. soccer list.
He wasn't on the Olympic roster for the June camp. Excuse me.
No,
hold on. I had the wrong thing here. Sorry, I had the wrong thing here.
Jalen Neal did not.
I didn't think he made it. Okay.
So yeah, it's Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, the overage players, the center backs, who are going to take up all those.
And Mihalovic.
Yeah, I know Mihalovic is overage.
Yeah.
Look, okay, you asked me which players I care about. I mean, again, is this going to be like I have to watch this team? I mean, I probably will if I could find the games and all that. I like Caleb Wiley a lot. I don't know that he's like a game changer at this point, but he's a fun player. I think Jack McGlynn is underrated by a lot of people. I'm not sure he's going to level up to a full national team starter in the next couple of years, but I think he could be a very good backup piece or something. And maybe this is a stage for him to get some attention. Tanner Tessman has absolutely balled out. I know second division, but Inter is after him now. So if Inter's after you, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a reason to watch for Tanner Tessman. I know he's not playing a sexy position, and that's part of it. Let's see. And then Paxton. Maybe Paxton pulls some strings and we get some.
Come on, though, dude. Like, how is Diego Luna not on this team?
Because here's why. I'll explain it to you. And you can be mad about this, but I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
Here's why. Because this is a holdover from Greg Berhalter's approach to how this team has been to play from top to bottom, from senior team all the way down to the program. Marko Mitrovic is in the Greg tree, Marko Mitrovic is still in this job because they can't find somebody right now to take over on short notice. But if you had a gap, they would find. I think they would probably find somebody else to coach the team besides Marko Mitrovic, or at least they. Maybe that's wrong, but I think they're going to play the same way Greg played, which means what is Diego Luna's position? Jared, what is his position?
What does anywhere from a 10 to a false 9, somewhere in there.
In the U.S. system.
What U.S. system?
Yes,
it doesn't exist in the
US system. It doesn't exist. So, and this is our problem, right? This is part of what we're angry about. Instead of saying, "Oh, we have this incredibly talented, gifted attacking player. Let's find a way to make him work. We'll find a system that can let him play." They go, "Oh, he just doesn't fit. We're kicking him out of our."
And what if we had thought that way with Clint Mathis in the early 2000s?
No, look, dude, there's examples.
Clint Mathis is very similar to Diego Luna in terms of personality, player that doesn't necessarily fit a mold. It's just we got to get past this stupid shit and just realize that this is a guy that can help this team.
That's what I'm saying. The next head coach of the U.S. men's national team, whether we have that coach write the plan for every team below,
and also Jackie right here is putting there's no 10 in a 4-3-3, and she's right. But you're not telling me there's not going to be games you're going to be in. Would you want to change that up and bring a guy like him off the bench when you do want to move to something?
Jackie is saying exactly what I'm saying, that you're supposed to be frustrated because this was a rigid system where they, instead of deciding, they did it wrong. Everybody is saying they did it wrong. And look, I do think you find that there are some tension points where it's like, do we change our system for one player if we have a system we think works for everybody else? I don't think you do that. The real question here is, does the system they have work well enough for everybody else that they can't change for Diego Luna? And I think that the answer to that is no. This system wasn't working so well, the U23 level or anywhere, that you should be like, let's not throw it out and give Diego Luna, find a place for Diego Luna to play, even if he's coming off the bench, right? Even if it's a matter of, hey, let's just find a way to change things up late in the game and throw Diego Luna in the middle of the field and let him do some things and see what happens if we're down a goal. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Instead, it's like, and it's there's to a little bit of credit to Marco and the coaches here. It's an 18-player roster. You have zero flexibility. You need players that can do multiple things, and you need players who can play multiple positions, and you need players who defend from the front. And they found a way to justify leaving off Diego Luna. That's it.
Don't agree with it, though.
All right. right. I got a question here from Connor. Show next week? No, because this time next week I will be probably in Valencia or something. Like, I'm not exactly sure where I'll be. I'm headed to Spain on Saturday.
Are you on a coach search?
Yeah, I'm going to go help out. I'm going to go help out. Sign me up.
You're consulting.
If you would like to hire me to help you find the next head coach of the U.S. men's national team while I'm in Spain, I will absolutely do that for you. Now, I can't let it break up my tapas and vino time, but I am available if necessary.
You're going to send me tapas and vino pictures, right?
I will try to send you tapas and vino pictures. I don't know how much. Here's the thing. I don't know how much soccer is going to get included in this trip. I'm going to try to squeeze some soccer activities in.
How?
But obviously, it's the summer, so there's nothing going on. I'm headed to the country that just won the Euros. They've already had their parade and their parties, so I think that's all going to be cleared out. Klopp is in Spain. I have heard that. I can go chase down Jurgen Klopp. Maybe convince him.
You and Tim Howard.
That's we're going to go do that. All right. Please sign up for a Patreon at patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. That's the name of the show. You get access to the community, extra content, all kinds of cool stuff. It's very fun. The people are lovely. Trust me that you will like it if you jump in. Just a couple bucks a month to join up on the Patreon. If you don't want to do that, or if you want to do that and in addition help us out, become a subscriber on the YouTube channel, like this video, like all the videos. Go through and like all the videos, all the updates that I just did.
Give us your real or bullshit down in the comments below.
We want real or bullshit in the comments on this video and everything else. Podcast rating stuff, and that helps too. This people could be listening to this as a podcast later as well. So make sure you.
I want to see how many likes we can get on the comment that's going to say Nicky Soup and Sausage. The first comment's going to say Nicky Soup and Sausage.
What's that guy's name? Colonel Angus.
Which I watched that sketch the other day. It's so good. It's still.
We're gonna have to go watch it and learn about Colonel Angus.
You never seen that sketch?
I don't think so. I gotta go find it.
Go watch it. It's so well done.
Colonel Angus. Mr. Dubois, anything else before we head out of here?
That's it.
We'll talk to you guys not next week. Maybe not. Well, yeah, let's say 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, let's get back together and we'll do another one of these. See if we have a coach by then. Here's your last question, Jared. Will we have a coach by then? 2 weeks from today?
Yes.
Wow. There you go. Bye, guys.
The best.
Only the best will do. Only the best will do. Only the best will do for
Jay Rodius.